This is something different. I have done a little bit of research. This is just a random post that I came across. Once a promising LDL talent and math prodigy, Xiaoyao made millions matchfixing until he was banned. He now delivers food to survive. A recent profile by Insight has gone viral in the Chinese gaming community. Xiaoyao is once the highest ranked student at math in his province, reached number 6 in Korean server 2019. After being scouted by big orgs, he dropped out of school and joined an academy team in Shanghai. His family stopped supporting him financially, so he had to cover his living expenses and diabetes treatment on a low salary, which is kind of sad. I don't really know how much diabetes treatment is in China, nor do I really understand the whole healthcare system there. Maybe the government helps. So yeah, this is what we have over here. The cost of diabetes treatment in Malaysia varies dramatically based on whether you use public government clinics or private healthcare, which if you go to a government hospital, then of course it's going to be cheaper. Medication is also going to be cheaper. So public healthcare offers heavily subsidized care where consultations cost as low as RM1 to RM5. So that's usually it's RM5, like $1 plus, while private clinic or hospital management ranges from 50 ringgit to 250 per routine visit. That is only for the consultations, and monthly medication supplies run from 30 to 1,000. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same in China. I don't think it is. Like, if it's low salary and they gotta worry about that, then it kind of sucks, right? Managers underpaid and mistreated young players and used this to introduce them to match fixing opportunities, with the whole team and coaches participating. That is very similar to what happens in Dota as well. I'll have a couple of examples later on talking about the Dota match-fixing scandals. Managers drew players into nightlife and gambling, worsening their financial situations and making it easier to pressure them into match-fixing. Yeah, I mean, bad orgs, bad managers, these kinds of things just happen. In Chinese, we have a term for it, and it roughly translates to a black business, or like black corporations, because they're just known for doing shady shit. And it's not surprising that it happens a lot in China as well, because like there's so many people in China, right? Over 2 to 3 years, Xiaoyao made about 4 million renminbi, which is 600k USD, without being caught. Not surprising at all, because in Dota, I think these bets also pay out a metric fuck ton. And of course, like when you're doing it, you're never expecting to be caught. Switched to Wild Rift and reached number 1 in Chinese server within a month. Continued to match fix, but was reported a month later and received a permaban. So I don't know if he caught wind that he was in trouble with League. Then again, you're just switching to the same, remaining within like the stratosphere of the same company. So if Riot's already sus of you, then you're playing Wild Rift. It's not like it's gonna change much, right? After returning home, he started elo boosting, but lent millions to an acquaintance who gambled away his money. Now that is just stupid. That is straight up dum-dum.
Sorry, and my name isn't Dum-Dum. My name's Larry.
No, your name Dum-Dum.
He started elo boosting, yeah. This happens in Dota as well. We have a lot of Russians boosting accounts and selling it for money, and they make a decent amount doing it, because you know, sometimes they're streamers themselves. They stream it, they stream the whole process, and they make money from streaming, and they make money from doing this as well. But lending millions to an acquaintance, don't. Why would you lend them millions? Thousands is fine, I can understand it, but you know, millions? Lending them your life savings? For what reason? It's not like it's a investment. You're just doing stupid shit. He lost his pro career savings, health, and closest personal relationships. He now delivers food to survive and refuses to facilitate match fixing for others. I mean, at the very least, right? He learned that what he did was wrong. And food delivery, I think that's like one of the most common jobs in China. If you've ever seen Chinese food delivery people, you just see like their yellow uniforms all over, and you see legions upon legions of them too. This is insane, especially in a city like Shanghai, which is pretty big. Like, at the very least, he refuses to endorse it. This is what I'm talking about, right? I've mentioned this in the Faker meeting his like fan video or something, where that fan eventually became the Kisante that Showmaker ranted about. Like, if you want to become a pro player, that's fine, but if you don't have a backup plan, it fucking sucks. Like, what can you do after that? And because he dropped out of school, he just doesn't have a backup plan anymore. There's nothing he can do. Theoretically, he could just go back to school, but at the same time, he doesn't really have anyone financially supporting him, so that sucks, right? You get what you paid for, and what you paid for is gambling. This is one of the cases, right? It is literally the first case of match fixing that I am aware of when it comes to League of Legends, but I have had someone in my Discord tell me that there's been bigger scandals, and this is one of the biggest ones. So let's check this out. It is a post on Reddit. VCS VCS announcement, and as far as I'm aware, this is the Vietnamese league. 32 individuals across all 8 teams suspended from all activities within Riot Games esports to serve for further investigation. Playoffs continue to be delayed until further notice. An entire league of people got banned for match fixing. Granted, this has happened in Dota as well, and we'll get into that later on. So every single player and coach, manager, not every single one, but most of them. During the suspension of competition, these individuals will not be able to participate in any Riot Games esports activities, including official tournaments. It is mostly PGL running Valve tournaments nowadays, so if you get banned from participation by PGL, that essentially means you are banned from TI. So you're just not allowed to compete anymore. Team Wales have terminated contracts with the suspended players effective immediately. B&J later posted on his personal account explaining that it was his request to the org so he can have more time to gather evidence to prove he's clean. Cerberus Esports insist that their players are in the clear. All 4 suspended individuals are willing to work with the organizers to prove that they are not guilty. Rainbow Warriors, MGM Blue Esports, and Viking Esports confirmed the investigation results. The players will stop competing. So at the very least, there's some orgs that are pretty honest about things. I don't know what happened to some of these players that say they're innocent. It's not looking good, right? Gamba Esports released CEO statements assure fans to await for final investigation results. Gam Levy tweet, fuck. SOFM on personal account, have to take matters into my own hands again. Viking Esports commented, is our co-owner's hands and backbone in good shape nowadays? Yankos.
Do you hear the clapping?
Yeah.
I wanna clap you like that tonight.
Oh.
Honorary Vietnamese citizen due to famously shitting the bed against VCS teams on multiple occasions. At least we know LEC teams aren't shit on purpose. What year was this? This was 2 years ago. So yeah, they kind of came back. It's pretty nice. I don't know how much money this is. 9,000 USD. Not much. So at the very least, a lot of them recovered. But B&J, he's retired. Turns out he's not innocent, but it's a 36-month suspension. 3 years or so before he can come back, provided orgs still want him, which after these kinds of scandals, I don't think they'll ever like full trust in him again. Well, you can't say they don't deserve it. If they're innocent, then feels bad, man. But at the same time, if they did it,
Get what you fucking deserve!
so these are the 2 biggest incidents. If there's any more incidents that you guys know of, feel free to let me know. So I'm sure some of you who have watched EWC, you would have heard of something about the Dota community coming out, and that's Darkmago and Vintage suspended from EWC. He's one of the most known South American players.
It's obvious the 3-2 was getting has been a lot more than whatever prize pool salaries combined. Probably, but they're also getting like, they're probably getting pressured by people to do this, I'm guessing as well. You start with like, bro, what if you just feed First Blood, you know, like, I'll give you $1,000. And you're like, all right, that's easy. You can still try to win, no big deal. And then they're like, oh, if you don't do this next thing for us, we're gonna expose the fact that you did the First Blood thing. So now you need to throw the next game. And they give you 2,000, but you need to shut up. And it's like, okay. And then eventually you're so deep, you can't get out of it.
So I don't know if the ban extends to PGL. I don't necessarily know if he is banned from competing at TI. So he's definitely not with the team anymore. You would expect this to be the most recent incident, but no. This is like freshly baked bread that just came out of the oven yesterday, bros. Tailung, a 17-year-old Prodigy, who was a part of LGD Gaming. LGD was beforehand a Chinese team and a Chinese org, but they switched to South America, I think for financial purposes. LGD Gaming was informed of competitive integrity concerns involving Tailung, a player in our Dota 2 division. Upon learning of his information, the club immediately launched an internal investigation and proactively reported the details and findings available at the time. Following the investigation and review process, the tournament organizers have reached a decision. Tailung is banned from competing at TI 2026, and PGL has issued a lifetime ban against Tailung for all PGL events. This dude is 17 years old. He was hailed as like one of the upcoming players that will probably set the scene on fire for the foreseeable future. 17 years old Peruvian, and he threw his entire career away. Isn't that just fucking sad? And here's a clip of it. Apparently, I haven't seen this yet, so take this with a grain of salt, because we don't know how real this is. Also, I'm taking this with a grain of salt because I can only see grains of pixels on my screen. Jesus Christ. Yeah, what the fuck is this? Immediately it's already sus. You see big AoE? Big AoE is from enemy. So you see big AoE, right? You walk back. Or you walk out of AoE. But no. Let me stay inside. Let me tank everything. So here's something that I missed watching it on the live stream. Tailung's playing Ember Spirit, and Ember Spirit's ult is that he can drop these fiery clones of himself at a pretty far distance away. Hell, he can drop multiple of them at any given location that is near him. And another aspect of his ult is that he can immediately transport to them.
Ember Spirit's ultimate Fire Remnant is a target point ability with charges. When a remnant is placed upon the ground, Ember Spirit is able to move to it, dealing 200 damage to enemies and a 450 AoE of impact. You're able to place 3 of these remnants at a time, which when activating your sub ability will jump you to each remnant in quick succession. Keep in mind that the remnant you select will be the one you end up at.
Hell, he even does it multiple times, throwing out the projectiles to make it seem as though he's trying to use it. So what I'm trying to say is pretty much at any given time he could have gotten out. I don't know how betting works. I don't know if it's like betting against your team or just like betting on how many kills you're gonna get or how many times you're gonna feed. Maybe there's like sports betting where it's like oddly specific numbers and shit like that. So I don't think you can ever talk about match fixing without ever mentioning the literal first incident of match fixing that has ever been caught in Dota. I started playing Dota 2 at around 2011. I wasn't necessarily watching this incident. You were aware of it. It was so big at the time. June 14, 2013. Solo, a respected Russian 2 pro, deliberately sabotaged his own team, Rock's Kiss, in a meaningless Star Ladder game. His motive? A meager betting payout of exactly $322. Back then, I don't think esports was that big yet. Granted, Valve was probably responsible for injecting an enormous amount of money into esports, right? 1.6 million. I think the first TI was $1 million prize pool, but eventually throughout the years, they'll put 1.6 million minimum. And what came after was like the battle pass, and people buying the battle pass would send 25% of the cost of the battle pass into the prize pool. What Solo didn't know was that his act would become one of esports' most enduring memes, as the 3 digits became a universal shorthand for corruption. So whenever someone does a really sus play, you would see the entire Twitch chat being spammed with 322. That's just Dota. So this is literally the first incident of match fixing that was ever reported in Dota. Granted, Solo didn't get into trouble. In fact, Solo he has had a really long career, even to the point where he just recently left the team, so I don't think he's active anymore. Yandex was pretty good, 9 Pandas was pretty good. He was still very relevant. Thankfully for him, he was the first incident, so he got like a slap on the wrist, and that's pretty much his entire punishment. What came after though? Not so much. All the other cases following this, they got perma-banned from TI and their career is essentially over. This guy, he kind of reminds me of a certain case that we had a couple of years back. So what happened was Taiga is a part, or was a part of the next iteration of OG. So if y'all have watched my League reaction documentaries, y'all would know that I reference OG a lot. They're my favorite team, and they're like back-to-back TI winners in the peak of Dota popularity, I would say. And after that roster retired, they sought after next generation talent. And he was one of them. That generation of OG, I don't know if I can find a roster for it. This was the next iteration of OG where they were all super young, super talented prodigies. Eventually, I think most of these players moved on to do bigger and better things. So what happened to Taiga? Gambling, addiction, and match fixing. In November 2023, after leaving OG, Taiga spoke about his struggles with gambling addiction, his need for a break from the esports scene, and this leading to his departure from OG. March 2024, the reporter interviewed OG co-owner Seb, where they spoke about Taiga's gambling addiction and rumors about him match fixing. Seb stated that they were made aware of Taiga's issues, they suspended Taiga internally, conducted a private investigation, and spoke with multiple parties including Valve. Their investigations concluded that there was insufficient evidence that Taiga had committed any offense within Dota 2, and the team was given green light for Taiga to return. However, the overall set of events had damage the team's mentality, and Taiga himself was struggling to cope. So the team chose to put him on the inactive list. But just a week over Seb's interview, Morph released a new video reporting contradictory evidence. Sensibility alleged that he and Taiga were accomplices during his time at OGU, with Taiga initially providing inside information before moving on to spot fixing within matches, such as fixing first blood. Taiga claimed that Sensibility attempted to blackmail him, which eventually led to him no longer cooperating. However, Sensibility claimed that Taiga later went back to match fixing with a different go-between, which was why he chose to expose him. Essentially what happened was they kicked him. Initially they thought he wasn't match fixing, but they found evidence to prove otherwise, and he's banned. What's funny is he did release a statement, and I'm not gonna read all of it, but what it all shortens to, what it all summarizes: he never purposely lost any game, nor placed any bets against himself. He did admit to sharing confidential information about strategy and scrims, and streaming his matches for Sensibility. He denied being the accomplice, stating he was a victim under immense duress. He apologized to OG and his former teammates, and that his professional career was probably over, that he would accept whatever punishment, yada yada yada. So he developed a gambling addiction, and he said that he was apologetic about it, that he was gonna go to rehab to fix it. But nowadays he streams on Kick, and I think that already tells you what you need to know about that. Guess what he streams nowadays? And it reminds me of this guy, because, you know, it's just that for whatever reason it feels like Taiga got somewhat rewarded for it instead of being punished. He pretty much threw his pro career away, but then he went to Kick and streamed gambling, so what's that gonna do? Almost the entire tier 2 scene, 46 Dota 2 pros. Y'all wanna look at this VCS 32 individuals? We got 46 motherfuckers banned. 21 players receive lifetime bans from all Valve events. The banned players include a number of notable pros and Division 2 players. In this team, players from Knights especially stood out after the multitude of allegations hit the team. Knights has been under fire for multiple suspicious activities throughout the CNDPC and Lima Major. eHome was also tied to Knights, as people suspected them to conspire match fixing together. Flyby is among the lifetime banned players. He is one of the most decorated players on the list, having played at TI 9 with Royal Never Give Up. Lin is also a TI player. He played with LGD during TI 4 and plays top 6. Among the list are also popular Malaysian players Alacrity and Felix Xiaoyao. Youngest player on this list turned 21 years old. He's a Malaysian carrier that last played for eHome. Malaysian players like hopping to China because there is no future for Dota esports over here in Malaysia. Singapore is the same. Singapore, at the very least, I think they speak English better than us. So Singaporean players have the option to go to European teams if they feel they get a good offer for it. But a lot of them also end up going to China as well. So these are all the players that got banned. So this whole incident resulted in the entire collapse of the tier 2 Chinese division. And I don't think China Dota recovered from this ever. Like, let's look at the teams that are invited to TI. TI's in Shanghai, by the way. So the only Chinese teams that I can think of: Extreme Gaming, where these are all old heads. These are all... Ame is like the uncrowned king when it comes to Chinese Dota. And these are all old players with two very, very decorated Malaysian players as well. LGD is not Chinese anymore. There was another one, Vici Gaming. So these are all old heads as well. These are all probably players that have retired once already and they just came back. And this as well. The 3 of these guys I recognize, but like, we're just not getting an influx of new players or new prodigies when it comes to Dota in many countries besides Russia, because Russia is like the premier place to be if you want to be a Dota 2 pro. So the entire Chinese league collapsed after this, and the only players that remain are the old heads. So this is definitely the most impactful match fixing incident that has ever happened in Dota. I don't think that if Ame manages to win somehow, I don't necessarily think it's gonna revive the scene in any way. That's just how it is. I think it's a little too late for that, and I think a lot more Chinese people are inclined to, if you want to go pro in a game, just go pro in League of Legends. You have academy teams. Granted, maybe some of those orgs can be corrupt and they're trying to get out of paying you as much as possible. We've seen this with Khan.
Be fine at first, as they just mentioned deducting 10%. But then Khan realized that they weren't taking 10% off his salary, they were reducing his pay to 10% of what they originally
What the
agreed.
fuck?
The world of League of
So this is just like a brief history of what has happened in the Dota 2 scene when it comes to match fixing. And if there's any more incidents in League that I should be aware of that is like super relevant, super impactful over the years, maybe it fucked up the scene for quite a while after that, let me know, because I am not aware. This and the VCS things are the only two incidents that I know. Let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys when I see you. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. Peace. I'm out.